Late Monday, a bill to enact massive cuts in Medicaid and the SNAP program in order to fund trillions of dollars in tax cuts and giveaways to the rich was advanced by Republicans in the House Rules Committee. The Rules panel voted 9-4 along party lines in favor of the Republican budget blueprint, setting the stage for a House floor debate and a vote as soon as Tuesday evening. Monday's committee vote came after a Center on Budget and Policy Priorities analysis, finding that the SNAP cuts proposed by the House GOP resolution would result in widespread harms, about $230 billion worth of cuts, and that would potentially take benefits from more than 9 million low-income people in the average month. Deep SNAP cuts, they write, would worsen food insecurity, hurt local businesses, and weaken SNAP's ability to boost jobs in every state. SNAP is highly effective at reducing food insecurity and poverty, and research links SNAP participation to better health outcomes and lower healthcare costs. So that's the $230 billion. They wrote that regardless of how lawmakers impose $230 billion or more in cuts to SNAP, these cuts would make it harder for low-income families in every state to afford groceries. Remember when Republicans said that, oh, we want to lower grocery prices. We want to help people to afford food. Eggs are too expensive, which they are. But they appear not to be caring too much about that. All right. Worsening food insecurity and hardship, slashing low-income households' grocery budgets would also reduce revenue for thousands of businesses in every state, with ripple effects throughout the food supply chain. Medicaid cuts, they're even more drastic and will do even more harm, according to the Center for on Budget and Policy Priorities. They previously estimated that House Republicans' plan for Medicaid could put 36 million Americans at risk for losing health coverage. Not good. Not good at all. Now, of course, does that matter to these guys? No, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. I know right now they're putting up this kabuki theater as of like, oh, these moderate Republicans are like, oh, maybe we shouldn't cut that much from Medicaid. Oh, that could hurt some of our voters, and so maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we shouldn't do that. I'm not buying it. Okay, you have GOP members of the Rules panel that rejected Democratic amendments that were aimed at preventing cuts to the healthcare program, as well as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program and other spending. So, look, they're going to do it. Okay, buckle up. Things are going to get real bad. Okay, now, Representative Gabe Amo, a Democrat from Rhode Island, wrote that Republicans can't have it both ways. They can't claim to stand up for their constituents on SNAP and Medicaid and then reject amendments that would do just that. So, Amo had sponsored the proposed changes, these amendments, and said my common sense amendments would have supported these two key programs that feed hungry children and care for sick Americans. Democrats provided Republicans with several chances to stand with the many instead of the rich. They declined multiple times. I'll continue to pull out every stop as I seek to prevent these cuts from becoming reality. Put simply, the bill is a betrayal of the promise that every Republican made just months ago to lower costs. Well, that's because they were lying. I know, Republicans, they lie all the time. They don't care about lowering costs, okay? They don't care about the grocery prices. They don't care about the cost of health care. They don't care about any of that. What they're doing is everything they can to shovel as much taxpayer money as possible to the very rich, to the donors. Okay, the Economic Policy Institute, for example, recently found that if the House GOP's proposal for the $880 billion in Medicaid cuts over the next decade becomes a reality, it would reduce incomes for the bottom 40%, more than extending the Trump tax cuts would boost them, and the lowest income households would fare the worst. Strikingly, this is true even as the full $880 billion in Medicaid cuts would only pay for about 20% of the total cost of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Other cuts and economic damage falling on non-rich families stemming from the tax cuts for the rich would still be forthcoming, said EPI's Josh Bivens. Meanwhile, the TCJA boosts the economic incomes of the top 1% significantly, while these households do not rely in any way on Medicaid. Now, here's the thing about that, right? Medicaid is popular. Okay, it's one of the popular programs. A lot of people that use it, including Trump supporters. Okay, who, when asked, generally are like, "No, we shouldn't cut it. We should spend more money on Medicaid." Oh, look at that! According to a January KFF tracking poll, half, about 51%, say the federal government spends not enough on Medicare, and 46% say the same about Medicaid. Okay. Across both programs, the share of public who say the government isn't spending enough is more than twice the share who say the government is spending too much. Only 15% of Republicans polled say we should reduce federal spending on Medicaid. That's only 15%. 26% say that we should not reduce spending on Medicaid. So it's pretty clear the American people are not in favor of these massive cuts in healthcare, in Medicaid. That said, you know they're going to spin it, and this is how.
Medicaid is hugely problematic because it has a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse. Everybody knows that. We all know it intuitively. No one in here would disagree. We had a hearing in budget just last week, or week before last, and they asked the experts, and the estimate is, I think it's $50 billion a year in fraud alone in Medicaid. Those are precious taxpayer dollars.
Oh, everybody knows it. I mean, it's full of fraud. Everybody knows. Everybody knows intuitively. So we don't need evidence. We don't need facts. Ugh.
Just forget about the evidence.
We don't need any of that. Just trust me, bro. Trust me. Lots of fraud. My proof is vibes. Okay? I feel like there's a lot of fraud here. Okay? Oh, is that it? Is that it? Now that's it. Wait. He said they found $50 billion worth of fraud, right? Well, let's look at that, huh? Do you know what that is from? Medicare Advantage plans. You know, the privatized plans offered by places like United Healthcare that was found to have been scamming people, elderly folks, with these Medicare Advantage plans, and denying 90% of their claims. So that's where that's from. According to the Wall Street Journal, Medicare Advantage made hundreds of thousands of questionable diagnoses that triggered extra taxpayer-funded payments, including for deadly illnesses where patients received no care and for conditions that people couldn't possibly have. These are private corporations, healthcare companies, okay? Health insurance companies, not healthcare, that are ripping off the taxpayer. That's in Medicare. That's different than Medicaid, by the way. And so there's the fraud. Okay, looks like we found the fraud. It's private corporations ripping off the government. And you know what? The same time they're talking about this, the same Republicans are cheering on the gutting of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're getting rid of all the cops, right? The so-called cops, in the government that would hold these companies accountable for doing fraud. So they don't actually care about that. And again, his example was in Medicare, not in Medicaid. Okay? So Johnson is standing there lying to our faces, all right? That's it. Look at all this fraud in Medicaid. Do you have any examples, good sir? No, but they did find private corporations that are ripping off the taxpayer, which is why we should hand everything over to the private corporations. What? Wait, what? How does that make any sense? It doesn't. But that's what they want to do. They want to privatize our healthcare system. Okay? This is part of that. Now, the other part of this is the fact that a lot of these people believe in a form of social Darwinism, okay, which is just letting poor people die because they're poor in order to fund the rich, because they only believe that the rich, since they are rich, deserve to live. This is what we're dealing with in this country. This is who the Republicans are, and it's what they have always been. And now the rest of the country We're finding out. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.